Hello everyone, welcome back to part 3 with Southside Noobs, bringing you all the updates for the 2012 version of Super Street Fighter 4, and continuing where we left off with Hakan. Hakan received numerous buffs in 2012. First off, he starts the round oiled. That's a huge buff. In addition, you can now do his guarded position during a forward dash or back dash. Hakan's air game definitely getting some buffs with the jumping light punch. This received a buff to its active frames. The medium punch also received a buff to its active frames, just allowing it to stay out longer and hit the opponent. The jumping light kick received a buff to its hitbox as well as active frames. And the angle of the jumping light punch also received a buff to its active frames. Hakan received some nice buffs to oil dive. On a miss now for the hard and medium version, you'll go over your opponent. The hitbox was pretty much improved for all versions. Now the hard and EX will have a longer reach. The crouching hard punch now does 2 hits. Hakan now has a +4 advantage whenever an opponent blocks a standing light punch. The flying oil spin got a few buffs. Now the light and medium version have a faster startup and is changed to fly over crouching opponents. Also remove the hurt box around the arm. The Hakan tackle is now better because it has less of a hurt box, so it's more difficult to hurt him during this move. And Ibuki did get some upgrades. We're going to talk about first her overhead. Got a nice buff to its frames. It's now 1 frame faster on startup, and also during the target combo it also is faster as well. Next up, her forward and hard kick got a nice buff. It'll now hit crouching opponents. Ultra 2 will now connect fully on an airborne opponent and also force crouching opponents to stand. Ultra 1, the projectile will now fully hit airborne opponents. Ibuki's command jump getting a nice upgrade. It's now throw invincible until the start of the 7th frame, and removes all hurt boxes apart from that of the overhead region to the startup of the 12th frame. Also made this super move cancelable from the 10th frame onward. Juri Han, of course, received some great upgrades. I'm really stoked about this since she is my main. The close standing medium kick is improved the hitbox on the 2nd hit, making it connect more often. Juri's charging phase of the fireball now does an additional 20 damage. Juri's pinwheel got a nice upgrade. On hit now it has more hit stun. This allows for some combo opportunities after a focus cancel. In addition, during the Feng Shui engine, it now has more invincibility until the first hit. This allows for it to be used as a counter. The Feng Shui engine received a nice buff. It now builds meter, where opposed to it did not, at 1/3 the normal rate, however. Juri's dash during the Feng Shui engine is much improved. The range of the total active frames did not change. The hitbox on her focus attack has been adjusted to hit lower opponents. Also, during the Feng Shui engine, you can now choose the length of which dive kicks like to do. There's 3 different kinds depending on which button you press. And the close standing medium punch now has a faster startup. Again, had mostly buffs in this patch. I think just 1 nerf. We'll start off with his target combo. This has a buff where it now hits crouching opponents much better. His EX Shoryuken went from 180 damage to 200 damage in a straight buff. His sweep now has 1 more frame, so it's got a slight nerf. The far standing hard kick got 1 less frame on startup. And the feint is now overall faster, so it just has less flinch. Bison was almost unchanged completely in 2012, just 2 buffs. 1 to the double knee press, it now does 50 more stun. It was 100, it's now 150, and has 1 more frame of hit stun, so it leaves him a possible 5 advantage after a focus cancel. And then the far standing hard kick and the near standing hard kick went from 80 damage to 90 damage on a shallow hit. So Makoto got a few nerfs. Her health went from 1000 to 950, receiving a 50 HP nerf. Her uppercut received a nerf as well. The damage was lowered by 10 for each version, and the EX was lowered by 20. Her super received a buff, however. It is now 3 seconds longer than it used to be. Her standing hard kick got a buff to its hitbox, it now hits lower opponents. The target combo 1 is now super cancelable. Her jumping medium punch now has a further hitbox and hurtbox. Her command grab is now, the EX version is now the same as the light punch version. Makoto also received a buff to her rush punch. When charged, the light version will now break, has armor break properties when charged to level 5. Also, there's a nice voice animation, so when it's charged to level 5 as well. It'll also travel further across the screen, similar to a fierce rush punch. The medium punch version has some similar characteristics as well. When charged to level 4, it'll now travel the same distance as the fierce version. Oni received a straight buff to his HP, was 950, is now at 1000. We have his Dragon Punch. It extended the range in which the character is knocked down, making when you EX cancel it, you have a better chance of him landing in front of you. Oni's Ultra 1 now has a faster startup. It was 10 frames, is now 9. It's also invincible until the first active frame. While the Ultra 1, also when it's aimed upwards, it can now be connected after an air dash. Oni's Ultra 2 received a buff as well. When you're hitting an airborne opponent, they will not be hit as high, making the hits connect better. And then the Raging Demon got a damage increase, however the Air Raging Demon will no longer hit ground opponents. Oni's Airborne Tatsumaki now has less flinch when he lands. In addition, it now has a sudden vertical drop right after you use it, after the air dash, opening up some new combos. His backwards and medium punch received a buff to hitting crouching opponents. It's now easier to combo after landing one. His jumping hard punch got a nice buff to its active frames. It was 4 frames, it's now 5. His air dash got a buff to the light and fierce hitboxes. The medium demon slash now has 3 more invincibility frames for projectiles, while the light version now has a deep hitbox. Rose got quite a few buffs. We're going to start off with her Ultra 2. It's got a nice buff to its frames. Now went from a 7 frame to a 5 frame move. Also fixed the bug where Soul Reflect would come out accidentally. Rose's near standing medium kick now has 1 extra hit stun, so it brings it to a total of 4. Rose Soul Spark received a nice buff. It now builds extra meter for each version. It went up from 20 to 30. The forward fierce kick received a buff. It now has a faster animation altogether. It has a better hitbox and it also has a better hurt box, so it's more difficult to hurt her. They fixed the bug where people were getting unnecessary counter hits on the crouching medium kick. Fireballs will now go through EX Soul Reflect until the 7th frame, and on the 5th frame the fireballs will be projected back to them. And the EX Soul Spiral received a 20 damage increase from 100 to 120. Rufus got some buffs as well. Most of them minor. I think the most important though was his Ultra 2. It now will hit airborne opponents again, not just for 1 hit, but 10 hits. So it's not full damage, but definitely some decent damage coming out of there. The medium Messiah Kick now combos to the light Deviant, allowing for it to combo. His target combo is improved to hit really low crouching opponents such as Blanca. And lastly, his EX Galactic Tornado now has 7 more frames of flinch, so this opens up some new combo opportunities.